Packers training camp is underway, folks. They just concluded their first practice of the season earlier today. We are officially back in football mode. Welcome to this lovely live stream here at the Underage Packers podcast. We want to deliver you a short live stream here today to recap everything that went down on day one of Packers camp. As you can see by our fun little name tags below us, I am Joey. And joining me is my co-host, Big B. Big B, how you feeling? We finally made it to camp.
Yes, it is very, very good to be back. Love the energy. Love seeing the players out there.
Yep.
Great time to be a Packers fan.
Yes, it feels great to be back to normal training camp, truly. Seeing all those folks out there, seeing the kids getting their bikes ridden, it's great to see. And I love that the Packers are trying their best to get a little bit more on the internet side of things. They're moving past their AOL days, and now they're streaming the bike rides and autographs. So those activities after practice. Not that it's the most interesting thing to watch, but it's fun to feel like you're there a little bit. So yeah, great to see everybody getting out there and having a fun time. We have not too many things to talk about today, but we wanted to go through the highlights of practice. If you want a more in-depth preview of what we're kind of looking for throughout all of training camp, make sure you tune in to our episode that we posted yesterday with the one and only Andy Herman. The link to that episode is in the description, and you can also listen anywhere you find your podcasts. I got to tweet this out here on the Twitter here. We're live right now to recap day one of Packers camp. All right, there we go. I was trying to do that the whole intro without making it seem like I was unfocused. Okay, first thing we got to start with. This just came out a little bit ago from Aaron Rodgers' locker room interview. This is just absolute gold. So a little bit of background if you missed it. This past week, Davante Adams in Las Vegas was asked about the transition from going to Aaron Rodgers, the two-time back-to-back MVP, and Derek Carr. And Carr, granted, is he's a pretty good quarterback, has been underrated in my opinion throughout his whole career. But Davante, who was college teammates with Carr at Fresno State, he had quite the praise for him. And he said going from a Hall of Fame quarterback to a Hall of Fame quarterback is obviously going to be a transition, which I don't know if that even makes sense.
That really doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't think that praise for Derek was really necessary. Like you don't have to say that. Like you're allowed to say that Aaron is really good and Derek isn't the two-time MVP for the past 2 years. But Aaron responded today, and I don't think there's any bad blood between them, but how he said this in his press conference today was pretty legendary. So let's pull that up here, and I'll play this video.
I mean, it's always tough going from Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer. From Devontae to Allen, it's going to be, a transition, but he's capable of a lot. And the way things have gone with the reps and the guys that we've had here and the targets that we've doled out, he hasn't had a ton of opportunities, but he's since his first day here, he's turned heads, and so it's not surprising him to go out and have a really consistent day today. But he's been working hard. He has a lot to prove, I think, to himself and other people. Maybe to the team as well. So I like a hungry Allen Lazard. And it'll be an adjustment for us, but I'm happy with day one. There's a Hall of Fame. I mean, it's always.
Wow. Could you hear that all right, Big B?
Yes.
Okay, it was like, okay. I turned my computer volume all the way up. But yeah, if you missed it at the start there, Aaron throwing some shade, saying going from a Hall of Fame wide receiver to another Hall of Fame wide receiver. And I think Allen Lazard would be the first to tell you really that it's a little too early on in his career to consider him a Hall of Famer. Yes. But like I said, I don't think there's any bad blood between the two of them. Big B. Now let's talk about some practice. What do you got for us? What was one of the things that sticked out to you?
All right, so all of us should know anyway by now that the offensive line is pretty much up for grabs. Every position on the line except probably center is up for grabs mostly, and we got some interesting players in interesting positions today. Royce Newman was at right tackle, Jake Hansen at right guard, and Zach Tom at left tackle with the twos. Zach Tom is interesting because I thought at least he was going to be center mostly, and seeing him at left tackle is definitely surprised me, but I'll give it a shot. I trust Luke Buckus and Stenovich there. Jake Hansen at right guard. Wes Hodquist brought up a good point and said he could probably be the new Lucas Patrick on our roster. I really like that comparison. And, I think he could probably fit that mold and play pretty much anywhere where there's an injury. And Royce Newman at right tackle. Didn't expect to see that one. That one shocked me the most, I think. I thought he was going to be a guard mostly, but we'll see where they play along the offensive line the rest of camp. Very interesting.
Yeah, Hansen and Royce are surprises to me because in minicamp and OTAs, it looked like Cole Van Lanen was going to get a look at those positions. So I think Royce, he played right tackle at Ole Miss, and, he's just apparently a little too undersized to play tackle in the NFL. So they played him at guard all of last year. So seeing him at right tackle wasn't too terribly surprising. But Jake Hansen at right guard, I don't think he made the roster last year. He didn't make the roster. I think he was just inactive every single week. Mm-hmm. I think I'm right on that. I guess that says that they really liked him, and now he's getting his opportunity. So will be interesting once we get to the preseason to see how they're rotating all of those players out there. And then, like I said, Zach Tom starting at left tackle with the twos. He'll be another one in that mix there. Another position with a lot of question marks at this point in the offseason is the wide receiver position, obviously. The talk of the town ever since the Packers had to trade away their Hall of Fame wide receiver, not Allen Lazard, but Devontae Adams, to the Las Vegas Raiders by Devontae's choice. But today, amid some doubts, the Packers receivers came to play, man. I think we've joked about it on here before that Juwann Winfree just shows up and has a phenomenal camp every single practice, but just never is quite good enough to make the roster or earn a formidable role. Last year during the preseason, he was hurt. 2020, we didn't get to see a preseason. So, hey, man, at this point, all of the Juwann Winfree hype is coming from our trust of the Packers beat reporters and that they are not lying to us. It is interesting, though, that he hasn't really got a chance. He did get a few snaps, got a few catches against Arizona last year when the Packers were down to, pretty much they're back against them all at the wide receiver position with both Devontae and MVS out. So you saw a little bit of Juwann Winfree in action in that game. But other than that, we're just going off the words of reporters who apparently say that Winfree has a lot of outstanding catches. We saw more of that today. So I'm interested to see how Juwann Winfree performs once we get up there in a few weeks. So there's that. Juwann Winfree making his plays. You also had Romeo Doubs, the 4th-round pick, showing up. Obviously, he's the star rookie at the wide receiver position as of now, with Christian Watson dealing with his leg injury. At least that's what Packers Twitter has assumed the injury is, judging off some pictures and videos we got of Watson just observing practice today. So Doubs, another opportunity for him to make some plays. He made some good ones today. And then Allen Lazard, near the end of practice, made some noise, making a great catch. It sounds like he pretty much Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss, Adrian Amos there. So there's the wide receivers making the plays. Back to the offensive line, Big B, can you tell us about the monster from Indiana, the monster Hoosier?
Oh yes, Mr. Caleb Jones. The dude is absolutely massive. I've seen him a couple times now in person, and yeah, he is very, very tall, like freakishly tall. Definitely the tallest. Yeah, he is massive.
Yeah,
Nothing really else happening with Caleb Jones
oh
except that
yeah.
he's
We
very
just wanted
tall.
to let you know he is
Yeah,
big. I mean, according to Google's, he is 6 foot 9 inches, 370 pounds. My God, like
that dude's a
look at
monster.
yeah, and the reason I bring this up is because of the live stream the Packers did after practice, getting to see the kids interact with all the players, and you see Caleb Jones, and I'm like, holy crime a nutley. That is a big human. And the hilarious part of it, there was this one guy. I mean, he could have been 5 years old or 50 years old for all I know. But he was taking a picture with Caleb, and he was trying to like put his arm around his shoulder, and he has to like virtually like hyper extend his arm all the way up to his shoulder. It was a hilarious sight to see. So just wanted to bring that up.
Yes.
Tim Jenkins says, so surprised we let Billy Turner go. Yeah, I mean, I really loved Billy. I'm wishing the best for him in Denver, back with his original team, back with Nathaniel Hackett there, but the cost just was too much. And obviously, hindsight 2020, if we knew that David Bakhtiari still wasn't going to be available here, at least for now, in July of 2022, 19 months after he initially suffered that ACL injury, maybe they would have considered keeping Billy around, but I just think they feel, even if we can pick up a veteran offensive tackle, that would be cheaper than Billy. But he was really good last year, despite some Packers fans being haters. So, yeah, still sad to see Billy go. Speaking of offensive linemen, Elton Jenkins was in the rehab group. We're hoping that he does not follow the same path that Mr. Bakhtiari followed in his long recovery process. But Ross Uglum did share this video today that I wanted to show the folks. You can't get too excited over anything, because I remember like on the first day of training camp practice last year, we saw David Bakhtiari out there and like, shoot, he might be ready for week 1. So let's not get too excited over this. But I mean, but I will show you this. Ross Uglum sharing this video. He looked not bad. It looked like he was ready to go out there and dominate at all 5 positions, as this video is lagging. But here he is. Get excited, folks. Elton Jenkins, shorts and a t-shirt, moving laterally. You love to see it. How fascinating. Do a little burst. Get that leg moving. Wow. You can really tell a lot from that video. I love to see it.
Man, we're turning into the people that we hate. I hate it.
Shoot, I didn't even think of that.
I know.
Are you sure? I don't know if we got a good enough look at that video. Should we discuss it and analyze it for the next 5 minutes?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. We'll make sure to post that YouTube video, and I'm sure we'll get millions of views.
Oh, yeah.
So there's Elton working with the ones. We'll do a satirical live stream one day here, just reacting to meaningless camp highlights. Adam Stinky says, how many Dr. Peppers have you kids had today? I didn't have any during practice just because it was too early in the morning. I learned my lesson before the playoff game against the Rams a few years back. I had Dr. Peppers too early in the morning. Was not good for the stomach. But I'm on number 2 right now. Big B, have you enjoyed any Dr. Peppers yet?
Yeah, I always have a Dr. Pepper when I wake up in the morning, so I've only had one today.
You mix it in with your cereal?
Yes.
Okay, sounds about right. It's a great start to the day.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's like, who needs coffee when you can get all the great tasting caffeine in the world from a good old Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, see?
Which, by the way, I do have a little bit of beef with Dr. Pepper right now. I don't know if you saw on my Twitter feed, but they are sponsoring a web segment on the Bears website. Just not happy to hear about that.
That's probably why we haven't got any notice.
That's true. That's probably why they don't sponsor us yet. Probably conflicting issues, It's probably it. Okay, so there's Elton Jenkins. Moving back to the training camp highlights, Elton Jenkins was looking decent in rehab group. Big B, Brian Gutekunst did speak this morning, bright and early in the morning. I had my Dunkin' Donuts to enjoy my Brian Gutekunst press conference on the side. What can you tell us from Gutekunst's presser this morning?
Oh, yes. After Julio Jones got signed by Tampa Bay, he was asked if they were looking to sign a potential veteran receiver, and Brian Gutekunst said that they are not looking to add another veteran receiver, which makes sense because they have a lot of veteran presence in that room, bunch of rookies, and bunch of talented wide receivers. So that is a very interesting piece from the Gutekunst press conference this morning, that they are not looking to add a veteran wide receiver.
Yeah, I think they like what they have in Sammy Watkins. And I think they really want Christian Watson as a rookie to get his opportunities. So we'll have to see, how that plays out over camp. Maybe, week 5 and they're sitting there and like, shoot, this is not good. Maybe they'll go out there and sign. I don't know who's even available at this point after Julio's off the market.
Will Fuller.
Oh shoot, that's not a bad name to throw out there. We know Brian likes them. They were in some heated trade talks with the Texans in 2020, right at the trade deadline, and thank God they didn't make that move. The Texans wanted a second round pick, and I think it had to be Gutekunst that wasn't willing to offer that up. But LaFleur was banging the table for it, so thank God they didn't make that move because LaFleur or Fuller just like 2 weeks later got suspended for the rest of the season due to drug use. So
yes,
it's the old saying of, sometimes the best moves you make are the ones you don't make. So, or something along those lines. But yeah, Will Fuller isn't a bad name to throw out there. He is pretty injury prone, just like Sammy Watkins, just like Julio Jones. But yeah, that's not a bad name. He also did say Jenkins was ahead of schedule. So if we can get Elton Jenkins back on that offensive line, probably starting at right tackle, that would just be phenomenal. Just for the peace of mind, really, that we aren't going to go through the same thing that we did with David Bakhtiari. But also hopefully David is back out there soon enough. Hey, man, I'm not panicking right now. I'm not clicking the big red button quite yet. But hey, I can't take anything from David's Instagram post where he has a little hourglass clock coming soon or whatever. I can't take anything from that because, hey, remember what he posted like week 12 when he came off PUP list initially or whatever list he came off? It looked like he was going to be clear to play. He posted that video on the Instagram story with this funny filter like, I'm back. That was lit. But here we are. And I know he's had setbacks. I know he wasn't necessarily lying to us in that video. But hey, I'm not going to get too excited. As LaFleur said in his press conference today, I don't pay attention to timelines anymore. Finally, one last note from Brian Gutekunst's press conference. What do you got for us, Big B?
All right, Christian Watson and Sammy Watkins are on the PUP and I think NFI list.
Yes.
But their injuries are nothing to be concerned about. They are short-term injuries. Christian Watson's is a little bit longer than Sammy Watkins, but nothing to be concerned. And that is all we have for you.
Yeah. Watson. Man, it's not that I'm going to confuse the people, but Watkins and Watson, I'm going to mess that up so many times.
They did that on purpose. I swear they did.
Yeah.
They clearly did that on purpose.
I mean, if one of them was with us for the past year, at least we'd have a little more familiarity with saying the name.
Yeah.
But Watson, it looked like it was just a little tweak he suffered at OTAs. They wanted to clean that up now instead of having him deal with that all of the season. Make that a non-lingering issue. Get it out of the way now. Hey, miss a few practices at the start of training camp. Come back for private practices, and then we'll get you rolling. And hopefully he gets at least some experience in the preseason as well. But
yes,
nothing to worry about with Watson, Watkins. It really doesn't look like there's any other players that are long-term concerns that were surprises on the PUP or the um, NFI list. I haven't heard anything on Keyshawn Nixon yet, but besides the Kylan Hill, Elton Jenkins, Robert Tunyon, who we expected to be on that list, there's six other guys that were surprises. I know Lowry, Patrick Taylor came off that list today. Mason Crosby was something to watch, I guess you could say. Doesn't look like he'll be out there for a little bit, but hey, man, give those snaps to Gabe Brickich, whatever. Let him have some fun, and then Mason Crosby can go out there. He doesn't need this practice. If he's going to have another down year, he's going to have another down year. But he's 36. I think we can trust him without practices.
Yeah, and what do kickers even do at practice? Like, they just stand there and literally watch it like us.
Yeah, I mean, like 1/5 of the actual practice time. I guess the whole time they are kind of kicking balls or whatever, but they don't get like really any live action, I guess you could say. They're not facing anybody until the special teams period, which hopefully takes up more time now with Rich Bisaccia than it did before. But like you said, I mean, it's not like they're constantly going. Other than that, I think that's where we're going to end it off. Fun live stream. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody that's going to tune in afterwards. We appreciate it. Packers camp is officially back. Like we said at the top, it's just so fun to see everybody back on the field. It's so fun to have football to talk about, man. And Nicolas Cage cosplays. Football is back. You love to see it. Can't thank y'all enough for the support. We'll talk to you later. As always, go Pack Go.